Chief Executive of Africa's largest bank, Standard Bank Group, Mr. Sim Tshabalala, who says that the African continent will be the fastest growing region in the world from 2030 onwards. Rotus Oddiri sat down with him in Riyadh at the Future Investment Initiative.
All right, it is, of course, Arise News here in Riyadh at the Future Investment Initiative. This is the 8th session, of course, where a lot is being discussed about the future. We have a banking titan with us, the largest bank on the African continent, Standard Bank Group. We have the Chief Executive, Mr. Sim Tshabalala, who is with us. And sir, thank you so much for talking to Arise News. I guess since the whole theme is about infinite possibilities and investing now for tomorrow, what does the future of banking look like from your vantage point?
Rotus, you know, it's interesting that we're in this region. Banking's been in existence for the longest time, since 2000 years before Christ, in the temples in Mesopotamia. And banking has changed, but it's remained the same. It has always existed. As new technology gets introduced, banks still take deposits, they still advance loans, they still help people manage risk. So banking will change, but technology will make it more competitive, but the discipline of banking will remain the same.
You have such a massive footprint across the African continent, #1 position in terms of size. What does as far as technology's impact, as you just mentioned it, there's been a lot of discussions here about artificial intelligence. Do you see that reducing the size of staff? You think, is it overblown that machines will take over? What do you think the impact would be, AI on banking?
Again, Rotus, when one looks at the history of technology, it displaces old technology, changes jobs, but creates new jobs. So I cast your mind back to when they introduced the typewriter. People thought it would obliterate secretaries, but they changed their roles. When the automatic teller machine was introduced, people thought it would get rid of tellers. Tellers continue to exist, their roles changed. Likewise, artificial intelligence will change the nature of the work that we do, but human empathy, the need for solving problems, complicated problems will continue to exist, and therefore the role of humans will have changed, but it will continue to exist in banking.
Now, Arise News was in Washington, D.C. right before coming to Riyadh for the IMF World Bank annual meetings. The IMF did put out a regional outlook for the continent of Africa. I think 3.6% GDP growth is what they forecast this year, 4.2% next year. For South Africa, they had like 0.7% GDP growth this year, though 1.1% for next year. What's your forecast for the South African economy going forward? I know we just had big elections, coalition government. There is a level of optimism. Do you share in that optimism for the South African economy?
So Rotus, if I could just start at a global level, the American scenario, America's growing and it's going great guns. Europe, it's a tale of two cities. Northern Europe is struggling, Southern Europe is growing really fast. Asia is growing, as is the African continent. We reckon that the African continent in the medium to long term will actually be the fastest growing region in the world at above 4%, definitely from 2030 onwards. In the short term, there will be challenges arising from the big players on the continent, Nigeria and South Africa. But in the case of South Africa, our projection is that South Africa will grow at 1.1% this year, 1.9% next year, and then an average of 2% for the medium to long term. However, you've pointed out that we've just had a new government, the Government of National Unity. They're implementing structural reforms. As those structural reforms accelerate, as you have greater investment, gross capital formation, we think the economy in South Africa can grow at a trend growth rate of 3%. Now, 3% on $400 billion is a big deal. It's a big base. So we're very bullish about the South African economy, as bullish as we are about the African economy in general.
All right, and just, I guess one more question for you. Looking at 2025, I guess, going into a new year, are there any big deals or exclusives you want to break for us? How are you, I guess, looking at the banking landscape? Any plans? How are you assessing 2025 as the new year approaches?
So Rotus, you'd be surprised to learn that we are bankers, we're very conservative. We're going to grow organically. We're going to carry on helping our clients buy the equipment that they need, export the goods that they need to export, make payments, protect themselves against foreign exchange and interest rate risk, and we'll just keep growing organically. There may or may not be opportunities that arise from acquisitions. If those acquisitions present themselves, we will look at them, we'll make sure that they're appropriately priced, we'll assess the risks, but at the moment there are none. So it's just steady as she goes, organic growth. What you've seen us do in previous years, you'll see us do in the years to come.
It's worked for you so far. It looks like it's going to continue working for you. Mr. Sim Tshabalala, Standard Bank Group Chief Executive, thank you so much for talking to Horizons.